Okay, so when we look at questions 7 through 10, we can see that we're dealing with a table. All right, so now a table is, you treat a table exactly like it's like fill-the-blank questions. That's what they are. So the same rules apply for all fill-the-blank questions. We want to pay attention to the language as before and after the blank line because that's what our answer will connect to. When you're doing a table, it goes in order. They're going to first talk about trip number 1, right? Then they're going to go and talk about 12 days. Then they're going to talk about distance and give you number 7, which is going to be a number because it's connected to kilometers. Then they're going to say 525. Then they're going to go into what's included. They're going to talk first. They're going to say accommodation. Then they're going to talk about the car, and then number 8 is connected to the word one something, right? Now keep in mind, they may not say the word some, right? They may use a synonym of the word some. So what are some synonyms of some? Single, right? You can use just, right? So just think about a. Think about synonyms for the word one. Then after that, they're going to go and talk about trip 2. Trip 2. Then you're going to hear something about 9 days. And then you're going to hear something about, they're going to say 980 kilometers. You're going to hear that. And then they're going to give you price. It's going to be pounds. It's going to be connected to a number. Keep in mind, when they give you numbers, they most likely are going to say more than one number to try to trick you into putting down a wrong answer choice. And then they're going to move on to what's included. They'll say accommodation, they'll say car, and after they say car, listen for number 10, right? Number 10 has to be something that's included with the trip, right? It has to be something included with the trip. They're going to say accommodation, they're going to say car, and then for number 10, they're going to tell you something else that's included for a trip. So a lot of times, looking at the category names at the top can really help with giving you a good idea of what kind of answers to listen for. And keep in mind that your spelling must be perfect. Okay? Your spelling must be perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and play the tape, and then we'll go through these questions. I'll go through these questions.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10.
All right, and so we're about to answer questions 7 through 10. And as I've told you before, it's so important that you understand all the questions for the IELTS go in order. So you're going to hear the answer for number 7, then you're going to hear the answer for number 8, then number 9, then number 10.
So, how many days are the trips, and how much do they cost?
The first one I told you about is a self-drive tour through California, which lasts 12 days and covers 2,020 kilometers. The shortest journey is 206 kilometers, and the longest is 632 kilometers. The cost is £525 per person. That includes accommodation, car rental, and a flight, but no meals.
OK. And the other trip?
That lasts 9 days, but you spend only 3 days on the road. You cover about 980 kilometers altogether.
So is that cheaper then?
Yes, it's almost £100 cheaper. It's £429 per person, which is a good deal.
So that covers accommodation and car hire. What about flights?
They aren't included, but these hotels offer dinner in the price.
OK. Well, thank you very much. I'll be in touch when I've had a chance to look at the brochure.
I'm pleased to help.
Okay, so now let's go through the answer choices, and let's kind of go through them now. So everybody, what did you get for number 7? For number 7 was straightforward, right? 2020, that's what they said, right? They said 2020. All right, so I'm playing it again because I'm going to stop the tape. I'm going to stop the tape as we're going through it and go through each answer choice so that I can point out for you the tricks that they use in terms of saying multiple numbers.
So, how many days are the trips and how much do they cost?
The first one I told you about is a self-drive tour through California, which lasts 12 days and covers 2,020 kilometers. The shortest journey is 206 kilometers and the longest is 632 kilometers. The cost is £525 per person. 2 kilometers.
Right, so there's the trap, right? He told you the answer. He said it will last 2020, but then he gave some extra information. The shortest is 206, right? So I mean, you have to pay attention because they're going to do that. They love to do that. They love to throw out extra numbers. Okay, but he said the number right. He said the answer right up front.
The cost is £525 per person. That includes accommodation, car rental, and a flight. But
there it was. Accommodation, car rent. Here it was. All right. First he said accommodation. Then he said car rental. Then he said and a flight. Right, like I told you. Right, like I told you, they're not going to say one. They're not going to say one. They're going to use a synonym for one. So if you hear the synonym, you'll hear the answer. Listen for synonyms. It's an English test, everybody.
And a flight, but no meals.
Okay. And the other trip?
That lasts 9 days, but you spend only 3 days on the road. You cover about 980 kilometers altogether.
So is that cheaper then?
Yes, it's almost £100 cheaper. It's £429 per person, which is a good deal.
So that covers accommodation and car hire. What
is a good...
Right, so that was very straightforward. He says £100 cheaper, so they threw out a number saying it was £100 cheaper than trip 1, but they were really direct and they said it was £429. You'll notice when it comes to numbers, I should point this out to you right now. They love to give numbers that they think students have trouble with. 29, 19, 39, 50, 15, 19, 90. Right? They love to use numbers that students have trouble telling the difference between, because they know if you have a really good English level, you can tell the difference. If your English level's not that good, then they know you might have trouble hearing certain types of numbers. Okay? And 429 is one of those numbers. And then our last one, again, you're going to hear them say accommodation, and listen, we'll hear the trap again, or the trick. Here we have the trick of saying something, making a suggestion that's not the answer, and then them giving the answer. They love to do that kind of little trick. Hey, this is a suggestion. This might be the answer. And then they'll backtrack on it, and the other person will say no, and then they'll give the right answer.
So that covers accommodation and car hire. What about flights?
They aren't included.
So there it was. She said it covers accommodation, car, and then she said, what about flights? He said not included.
But these hotels offer dinner in the price.
But they offer dinner. Okay, so the answer you will put down on paper is dinner. Okay? All right, so that gives you a good idea of how it works in section 1 with tricks and traps in terms of your being able to understand what to do and how to do it. Okay? All right, so we'll move forward and I'll talk to you soon.